Welcome to the Happy Nessa 1111 channel, where we are committed to happiness, connectedness, and being you authentically and unapologetically. Of course, I am Happy Nessa, and I have Miss Life with me, Miss Life from Life's Magical Journey. We are going to be talking about signs and different experiences that you might have on a spiritual path, especially in the beginning. Some things that you might have happen, some patterns you might notice once you're on a spiritual path. So I'm actually going to kick it off and let Life kind of get us going with some of the things that she started to notice in her life once she kind of began her spiritual journey.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that intro. And so I'm excited to be doing this episode of Happy Life about this topic in particular because I feel like it's going to help a lot of people just to go over and kind of talk about the things that you can expect or you might expect. All of our paths are going to be a little bit different, but some things that I found most people and that I experienced, that's some of the things I want to talk to you guys about. And Nessa, I know you definitely already spoke to this in the other Happy Life video where we talked about synchronicities when it came to numbers. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that because that was one of the first things that I experienced. And 1111 was a big one for me. 111 and then 333, all of them, over a period of time. But mostly it was 111, 1111, and 333. And then crazy enough, after those synchronicities with those numbers, I don't know if I got used to them or whatever, but I was seeing them every day, it seemed like. And then 33 ended up popping up for me. Like, you never know. I think one thing when it comes to synchronicities, a lot of us do see those numbers that are repeating patterns, but you also have to be aware of the fact that you could see other numbers as well, like 33, that is just a 2-digit number. But
exactly.
33, yeah, it is a powerful number. If you do research on that number, it is a very powerful number in spirituality, and that has stuck. I see that number at least 3 times a day, like no exaggeration. If I had to show examples, I could. Like that's how often I see it. And so numbers really for me was one of the first big things that was repetitive, that was like, okay, this is not a coincidence,
Mm-hmm.
like this is really happening. And and maybe because we are becoming aware, because in a spiritual journey, that's really all it is you becoming aware. It's your awakening. It's your awakening to who you really are and what's really going on here. So number synchronicity was a big one. And then synchronicities with people and things that were said and done. So for example, I've mentioned this a lot on my channel too, is that meditation was like a big thing for me. And I had this pull towards meditation, but I was resistant to it. And so I started hearing and seeing meditation everywhere. I would go into a grocery store or something, and somebody happens to be talking about meditation. Or my mom watched a lot of TV back then, and I would go in her room, and the TV show happened to be just when I walk in. They happened to be talking about meditation on the TV.
Right.
Yeah, so I experienced a lot of synchronicities like that with just different topics, And I don't know if you experienced anything like that, like different synchronicities that would just pop up that you just knew like it wasn't an accident type of thing.
Well, meditation was one of the first ones, even before numbers for me. I mean, I had this like intuitive like attraction to the time. Like I would look like at different ages, like even when I was a kid, I would look at the time and I would just feel like there was something calling me like through the clock. It was kind of weird. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I never knew, until much years later as an adult, that was kind of the synchronicity of numbers or the connection to the spirit realm, the angelic realm, especially coming through. There's lots of spiritual gurus and different people who actually talk about why and number simply to channel for the spirit realm to connect with us. Okay, so what I was saying is that numbers are a easier portal from what I've heard for the spirit realm. And so that's why so many of us are seeing repeating numbers. It's because it's an easier connection to us here on earth in the physical realm. And before numbers, what I want to talk about is my call to meditation as well. So I had the same exact experience where I had always heard about meditation a little bit here and there, but out of nowhere, when I'm literally in this phase of kind of experimenting with prayer, experimenting with law of attraction, figuring out what do I want to believe, everywhere I go, on the TV, every channel, everything is about meditation. It's like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, how is, and I'm a very numbers person. It's like, statistically speaking, what are the odds that meditation as a theme would come up this often? And that's how you know it's God speaking to you, getting your attention. So meditation was the first one. And what's interesting is I actually have a very powerful experience that really cemented my belief in the spirit realm and just life beyond the physical when I had a vision through meditation. It was one morning while I meditated really great for about 30 minutes. It wasn't even that long, but I didn't have distractions. What I did, which I still, I'm a little bit hard-headed to this day, but what I did was I got up before the family. I got up before my ex-husband at the time, and I only had one child. So I got up before them, and I just had such clarity and no distractions. And my mind was kind of active during the meditation, but irregardless to say, 30 minutes later, I had a vision of a futuristic vision that actually came to life when it comes to my career. Very specific things that happened, very mystical experience. And I shared it with someone and I got like goosebumps. And I even got sick to my stomach when I had that experience from meditation. So no wonder God wanted to get my attention, because I was someone who was questioning, is God real? You know, is there a spirit realm? Does prayer work? And so he's like, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you a little something.
Right. Let me make it obvious. That is one of the few things that I noticed when I first got onto this journey. Of course, I still had a little doubt in my mind. I was dedicated to it, but I wasn't fully convinced, if you will.
Okay, you kept going.
Huh?
I was gonna say you paused for a little bit, but you're doing great. It kept going good enough.
Okay, so I wasn't thoroughly convinced. And so I would have little things like that too, that would little things would start to manifest in my life, and that I knew it couldn't have been an accident. I was
exactly.
I was kind of okay with the term, like, there are no coincidences, but I still wasn't thoroughly convinced of that until these little things started, popping up and manifesting in my life. And so, yeah, that was a big one for me. Also, when I first got on the journey, well, not right away, but I had a great pull towards changing my diet. And so about 4 to 6 months into being on this path, I just felt a need to cut out meat. And so I cut out eating. Well, I had already cut out eating pork long ago, but I had cut out ground beef and chicken, and my body just wanted to cleanse, I guess, with those things. I still eat seafood at the moment, but I felt a real big need to shift that. But you know what I'm thinking? Just want to put it out there. A lot of times in the beginning of our journey, especially, we are looking to other people, and we're on videos and we're reading things. And I think a lot of times, some of it is part of the guidance system. It's part of your path. But I think some of us, and I just want to put it out there so that if it resonates with anyone, someone can say, oh, okay, that's me, that we kind of gravitate towards things that are not part of our path, but just that we overhear. So for me, when I first let go of meat, I wasn't eating shrimp. I wasn't eating any type of meat at all. And then slowly but surely, I found my path, and I found that for me right now, at least, I'm okay with eating seafood. That seafood still resonates with me. Yeah. So I had to kind of let go of what I thought was a spiritual thing to do, like letting go of
Yes.
me. And but that wasn't fully my path. So
Exactly.
yeah.
That's great. That's great. Because, on my channel, I'm very open-minded as a person. And the idea is that as the community grows, that even though there's a lot of like-minded people, a lot of like-minded spiritual people, a lot of like-minded people committed to health are, attracted to my channel. While that's the case, I'm trying to attract a lot of open-minded people so that we can realize that while there's a lot of similarities, we can still connect and have differences on this path, and also communicate those differences in a healthy way. So we won't even talk about like 2020 and how that kind of initiated a lot of interesting challenges with communication with people of differences. But I will say, for me, when it comes to eating or your spiritual path, I feel like what happens for a lot of us is we're just more in tune with our mind and body, and what our mind needs and what our body needs. For a lot of people, that could be cutting out meat.
Right.
For a lot of people, that could be cutting out other things. For a lot of people, it could be adding certain things to your diet. So that's how I interpret it. And like I said, I'm focusing on this open-minded, phrase or theme, because I think a lot of spiritual people have good intentions, and yet we think that my path is like the only path. But obviously, I gravitate towards your channel because you're very open-minded about, the lens and how we perceive things. Like all of us are having our own experience, and yes, we're all going to have similarities, but it's great that we can be open enough to embrace the other, everyone else's path. So yeah, I definitely have experience with a lot of different diets. I will say diets or eating lifestyles over the years, pretty much everything except for vegan. I never was vegan, but I was pescatarian, or basically everything vegetarian, but with some seafood. I think that's what you're pretty much doing right now. And it just kind of helps you. Like, it just experimenting with different foods, like, helps your energy shift or helps you vibrate at a certain level. And sometimes I'm the kind of person, there's something called flexitarian, like for different phases in your life. To me, it's fine for you to experiment with different foods and different things that are good for your mind and body for that phase of your life. And for some people, they feel like they're cheating on themselves or on their path if they try something different. And for my path, I feel empowered to try different things depending upon that phase of my life.
Yes, I like that you said flexitarian. I've never heard that before, but
that's the thing.
And that's why I say, like, right now, I eat shrimp. I don't eat, beef and chicken or pork. That's just what I'm choosing to do. And it reminds me of law of assumption, because with law of assumption, it's like, if you assume this water is going to get you drunk, it might.
Exactly. Placebo effect.
So it's kind of like that. If you feel that eating shrimp or eating beef is not going to be good for you, don't eat it. It's as simple as that. I don't have a need for you to eat any specific thing. And so I just want everybody to feel confident in just using their own intuition, especially in the beginning. To a lot of the things we hear about, it's for us to be aware of it and make our own decision at that point as to how it feels to us, because it's all about how it feels, how it resonates. So I like that flexitarian. I gotta use.
Well, that's the thing. Flexitarians, specifically what that's referring to, when I researched it years ago, people who only eat meat during a limited time. So for example, they'll say, I'll only eat meat twice a week, or in 2 meals out of the week. All the other meals, I'm contributing, to less animal products in my body, and I'm contributing to the earth and different things. I think it's a great option for some people who maybe want a smaller portion and want to make that difference in their body. And then
that's awesome. I'm basically that way. I would say with dairy. Like, I do eat dairy quite a bit, but I don't really eat a lot of cheese. I just don't. Like, I don't get a cheeseburger. I prefer a hamburger. And my daughter's the same way. Like, since she was born, she just didn't like cheese. Now she eats a little bit sometimes, but she just goes with what she feels. And she's so in tune. I love that about that girl, because she, from the beginning, and people would be like, this child don't like macaroni and cheese? That's weird,
That's funny.
It is weird, from our experience, but it just is what it is. And she was so in tune as a child. She just knew she didn't want that. And so I really like that. I enjoy that. But yeah, so that, I mean, those are kind of more the basic things. Another thing I think for me that I experienced was like wanting to just care for my body in general, caring about how and I'm still like you, I'm a little stubborn, or what did you say, hard headed, but when it comes to my exercising and doing yoga, I'm really still getting into routine with that. But the fact that I even care now, I didn't even care before.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
I didn't care as much before, even though when I was younger, I was in sports and things like that. Now it's like I know that I need to care for this body because this is the way that I'm able to live my purpose. If I don't care for this body, I may not be here to live my purpose. And so that is more so my mindset now. It's like I want to live longer. I want to be around to live my purpose. So I think that's one thing that people might experience as well.
Thank you all so much. If you made it that far in the video, thank you so much for supporting the channel and happy life. I wanted you all to know that I had technical difficulties at the end of the video, so I just went ahead and scrapped it, and I just wanted to end with gratitude. Thank you for watching. Life and I are hoping that each and of you are making one or more steps, one step at a time towards a happy life. See you next time.